I'm your host, Sule A. Joseph, a counseling psychologist by profession. By now you know we're in season 4, and we have some really pertinent topics and conversations that we plan to have in this season. Some even controversial. And of course, this episode is one such controversial conversation. But before we get into that and introduce today's guests who will be rejoining me to have a conversation, first, my favorite segment, Psyched to Know.
Psyched to Know, brought to you by Sule Joseph and Associates.
Forgiveness means different things to different people, but in general, it involves an intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger. The act that hurt or offended you might always be with you, but working on forgiveness can lessen that act's grip on you.
The best for your baby is at dbesttoys.com. We have the best strollers, car seats, walkers, feeding accessories, playpens, cribs, clothing, and the widest range of brand name toys like Barbie, Hot Wheels, Nerf, LOL, Fisher-Price, Cocomelon, Intex pools, Amazon Fire tablets, HP and Gateway laptops, and the best bikes, scooters, skateboards, and ride-on. Visit us in-store at 7 Main Road, MacBean, or shop online now at dbesttoys.com. That's dbesttoys.com. We have the best toys at the best prices.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best.
I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in-depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WASN,
the content capital.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Sule A. Joseph. And as promised, we have a controversial conversation and topic to discuss today. Joining me today, this morning, is no stranger. It's Ayana Miguel, a mediator and conflict resolution specialist, joining me to have a conversation about forgiveness. Ayana, thanks for coming. And good morning.
Thank you, Sule. Thank you so much for having me once more.
All right.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah. You're a popular guest here. It's always good to have. It's always good to have you back. All right. I know once we start having conversations, it's usually insightful and usually two varying perspectives. It's usually quite good.
Okay.
So
I'll try my best.
high standards we have to keep, right? Forgiveness. When we're talking about forgiveness, what is that? Because I know sometimes when people think forgiveness, the first thing comes to your mind is just letting go of everything, kind of. Is that what we mean when we say forgiveness? What is forgiveness?
Now, to be honest, forgiveness is a very broad topic, is a very broad area, even research, for want of a better term. When we say forgiveness, what sort of forgiveness? Are we talking about forgiving someone in preschool for taking your favorite snack or your favorite book, forgiving your first boyfriend or girlfriend for breaking your heart, forgiving your children for stressing you out, like I had to experience last night, or we're talking about forgiving? What kind of forgiveness we talking about, Suli? Let's define that first, and then I will be able to tell you. Because when I hear forgiveness, I think about the conflict of forgiveness. My mind automatically goes there.
All right. So, for the sake of simplicity, when we're speaking forgiveness, here we're speaking about relationship forgiveness.
Oh,
so,
Lord. Okay.
So forgiveness in a relationship setting. All right.
Yes.
I don't want to quote any specific videos just yet or any information just yet, but in a general sense of speaking, in a relationship setting, forgiveness. What are we talking about there?
Honestly, I would think forgiveness is very hard to define. And reason being, forgiveness actually takes two persons or two parties to really have a specific definition to the situation. So in relationships, when we talk about forgiveness, it goes hand in hand with some sort of conflict resolution, some sort of resolution, right? Something was done that forgiveness is needed by one party and the other party is required to forgive. Now, there is a whole conflict behind forgiveness because there is some blame that is attributed to the party that requires forgiveness. And the party that is required to forgive is now warring with, do I forgive too soon? Or do I let it pan out? Or what do I do in a general context? And that itself can be an issue because if you forgive too soon, it can damage your self-respect, right? And if you take too long, it can result in the development of negative feelings and that bitterness, that anger and stuff like that. So, forgiveness, yes, it plays a key role in conflict resolution, but the way that it is managed is also very important.
Okay, so for the sake of the layman at home, right? And yes, people at home are calling you a layman, but for the sake of the persons at home who are not in the field, all right? Could we use a simple definition? Maybe something as saying that it's a intentional decision to let go of resentment and anger or any of those type of poisonous type of feelings. Could we use that as a definition for forgiveness? An intentional decision?
Yes, it's an intentional decision. But again, I am not a fan of the general school of thought that you must forgive. There are certain situations that...
Well, that's what we're going to get. I'm going to get into that, I made a note. I write it down right here. I made a note because I feel like that one controversial. And I always like bringing it because I know you bring some different perspectives. This one going to have social media happen. All right. So you're saying that you don't always have to forgive. I think I wrote it down. You don't always have to forgive in a relationship for it to move forward. Explain that to us at all.
It depends on the situation, because if it is you are in a situation where you forgive the person, but to the detriment of yourself, what are you really doing? Right?
Okay.
Are you encouraging forgiveness? Because forgiveness is spoken about widely in the Bible, etc., and you must forgive.
Right.
But encouraging forgiveness, let's say too early, right? Before there is some sort of real understanding within yourself, with others, with the situation, what are you really doing to yourself? Right? And then the other party now, I mean, what are you really doing to them? They are being forgiven so easily. I'm not saying that person has to pay, but is the lesson really learned?
Well, I can speak to a situation in which I was aware, where two persons, of course, were in a relationship, a heterosexual relationship, and one of the persons stepped out, and the other party forgave so quickly. I mean, they were upset, of course, but within the same time of finding out, the same day and so on, you know, they were upset, they cried, and then the person forgave the other party. And the end result was, the person who was forgiven, felt as though like this relationship not making sense, because this person, how would you forgive so easily? You know what I mean? Like clearly there are issues that led to this, and you know, you're not working it out, and the relationship ended actually. So the
Now, all I will say there is audacity, honestly. You are being forgiven, and you now want to determine or indicate or state how it is you're supposed to be forgiven. You are being forgiven. Say thank you and move it along.
But you just said that it's supposed to. You just said that there's supposed to be an appropriate time frame in which, you know, forgiveness has to be earned and so on and that.
It's true, but again, it's within different situations. Now you're talking about stepping out. Stepping out is our culture. I'm not going to the front and say, oh dear, what happened to the person? Listen, that is our culture, right? We are. At our age, you need to learn to manage it, and you need to know how to do it. But my issue is that person chose, and I am being bold-faced and saying she chose to say sorry very quickly. And he decided that she forgave too quickly, right? Or he decided to forgive easily, and she decided that he forgave me too quickly. That is a person's choice. Some others would say, I'm not forgiving you. Some others would walk out. Some others will stay and make your life a living hell 10 years down the line if given the opportunity. But for you to indicate or direct or demand when somebody should forgive you, that is not making sense. And then we have it where we have a lot of voices around us and persons around us always telling us to forgive for our betterment. We forgive in our own time. And then there are some situations, like I said before, does not need forgiveness. It's just to walk away, let it go, sit down, put it in its box, and walk away. Simple.
But what about now, two questions I have for you. One is, you spoke about appropriateness in terms of timing and so on for forgiveness. So I would ask one, for the person at home, what is an appropriate time to forgive? So you know, for those people out there who just found their spouse holding them in the backseat of a maxi, right? When is an appropriate time to forgive? I mean, you just found your spouse cheating on you in the backseat of a maxi. It's all of social media and the rest of Trinidad is now aware of this. When is an appropriate time for forgiveness?
So it will be remiss of me to tell someone when is an appropriate time for them to forgive. It all depends on you. And the most important thing in getting to that state or that stage of forgiveness is your peace of mind, your peace of heart. Because anytime you're dealing with horn or anything like that, that's your heart we're talking about, right? And it messes with your mental. And if your mental is in disarray, I am not going to tell anyone in a state of disarray, in a state of anxiety, to rush into forgiveness. Encouraging forgiveness too early can be harmful to parties. And in this case, both parties, because the situation that you explained there, the person who was forgiven early decided to just end the relationship. So that is even more harm done to the person who was forgiven.
So then, you don't forgive too soon, don't forgive too late, else it'll be better. So where's the Goldilocks zone? How do you know when it's...
There is no Goldilocks zone in real life. That is why Goldilocks is a fairy tale. That is why the brothers Grimm and Hans Christian, they wrote those fairy tales. And I wish a day, I always say that I wish I could find the person who wrote these priorities. I could just give them a swift kick, because you have persons growing up thinking, oh my God, once I be this way and that way, I'm going to find my prince and we're going to ride off on a white horse. No, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to have to deal with disputes. We're going to have to deal with disappointment. We're going to have high moments and we're going to have low moments and we're going to have the in-between. It is not perfect. Life is not perfect. Simple. And forgiveness and the art, and I would call it an art of forgiveness, is not perfect. Because you have people saying, I can forgive you, but I will never forget.
Which is actually the other point I wanted to get to. So for those of us who equate forgiveness with forgetting, because we have some people who hold on to things. So they may say that I have forgiven you, but you will never hear the end of it. Every time that argument comes up, the issue will be raised every time, you know what I mean? So, and it could be something very small, something as small as perhaps you didn't show up for an event, or you didn't come on time, as maybe you made a promise that you weren't able to keep. And so the person may say that they've forgiven you and the relationship may continue, but you can't hear the end of that era. It's always coming up in conversation, it's always being brought up. Then can we call that forgiveness?
They will have to know. If they are telling you that, okay, I forgive you, but they keep on bringing it up. What we will say from a professional standpoint, there's still some residual anger or whatever in it. They have not really overcome the hurt, and that is why they keep bringing it up. But then there are others who will just bring it up because that is just the way that they are. So they will have to tell you. You see, what I'm trying to say is that we cannot tell persons, forgive now, forgive later, forgive in the middle, forgive when this is done, forgive when X is done. Honestly, and I can tell you from my personal experience on forgiveness, that's what I'm talking about here, is that you will wake up a day and realize, hey, you know what? I am more important. I can do bad all by myself. I need to be a better person, not only for myself, but maybe for my children, my family, or whatever. So let me put it in a box, wrap it up in a nice sweet bow, throw it away into the ocean. I'm done. So then
you're saying then forgiveness is a lot about self as well. So it's a lot about yourself.
It is.
And maintaining your own mental peace, your peace and your serenity.
Definitely. Your peace of mind and your peace of heart. People don't understand. When I say peace of heart, it's P-E-A-C-E of your heart. When you have peace within, it helps and it resonates. Because, and I'm sure you could actually see, a day you'll be angry with someone and you know you're wearing that on your sleeve, you're wearing that on your face, your looks, everything. And then the day you decide to say, you know what, I'm done, I'm good. You get up, you take a deep breath, fresh, you know, you have a freshness about you, right? Like right now, I am peaceful because I am forgiven. I am not going to sit down and hold on to things. If somebody else wants to hold on to it for me, that's their business, but I am good, move it along.
Now, there is the science behind actually being able to forgive certain situations that cause you stress and anxiety, and the increase in longevity of life, in terms of health as well, reduction in harmful body chemicals like serotonin, stress hormones, and so on, because of your ability to be able to forgive and move on from issues, as opposed to holding on to them. And what a lot of science would have shown us is that holding on to these things encourages things like sickness and stress and other major issues that can hamper your functioning, because of the inability to forgive and let go.
And you see, that's the thing. Like, my friends will actually tell me, I'm the cut-off queen. I will cut you off to the knees, and I am good. Brush off, and I go about my business. And maybe that's why people can't guess my age. They think I'm much younger than I really am, because I try not to take things on. Oh my gosh, of course not. I try not to take things on. It doesn't mean that I have not been through really heart-rendering stuff or anything like that. But you have to know within yourself what is best for yourself. And you have to know if holding on to something is going to contaminate you internally, contaminate your outlook on life. And you okay with that, fine, so be it. But for me, I always want to ensure that I have a positive outlook on life. Despite whatever life has thrown at me, whatever persons have done to me, yes, I will have my down day or days. Yes, I will cry, bawl, scream, cuss, get on. But at the end of it all, I can look at myself in a mirror and I can smile and say, hey, this is who you are. And I am proud of who I am. And that is what I think persons will need to really get to that stage. You have to really be at one with self.
Well, it'll be remiss of me, as we're winding down and running out of time, it'll be remiss of me because there's a running joke at the studio here that says that, you know, I was traumatized by dating red women, and, you know, because of that, I have not forgiven and I haven't let go and moved on, right? You know, and I perhaps need to open my heart and start dating red women again. No, that's me. Pardon?
That's you. No, I don't know if you want me to touch on that. Oh my.
No.
Right.
My question really for me was this. Does forgiveness, because someone can hurt you or do something to you, right? But does forgiveness mean that you don't learn a lesson? And now, this is not me saying a lesson learned here is red woman bad. I'm just making a joke and using an example. But does forgiveness mean that you return to a possible situation where you have been hurt or can be hurt again like that? Again, it doesn't mean starting fresh, clearing the boat.
Forgiveness is a different lesson for different persons. Some people may return to a situation to learn, to really grow within the situation and then grow out of it. Some persons may walk away from the situation and never learn the lesson that was thrown at them. The main thing is to always see and understand the lesson that is being taught to you in situations where forgiveness is needed. So in your case and your particular choice, young woman, you need to understand and learn the lesson that came out of that relationship or those relationships. And if there is something that you need to learn, you then apply that to other situations.
So Ayana, I get what you're saying. Leave red woman alone. All right, good. So message received, loud and clear, message received. All right, good.
Not me and you, Anna.
Now, we have to. Now, thank you very much for your time. The other important lesson that I also learned from you as well today. I don't know if the rest of Trinidad also learned that lesson, but this is the lesson that I learned. Is that horn is part of Trinidad culture. Or you take all your horn and hush all your mouth, stop causing all them problems and so on, and forgive the person who gave you your horn. When you find your wife in the backseat of a maxi, let it go. Just forgive her and keep it moving.
I do not endorse that.
Oh, okay.
That is your words, not mine. Those are your words, not mine. Trinidad and Tobago, what I am saying here today is you forgive at your own speed.
Okay.
And find peace of mind and peace of heart, peace of self, one with self, and understand what your process is. Don't let anybody force you to forgive them. And don't hold on to anger and negative emotions because you think that is what they deserve. Study about what you deserve, and you deserve the best. Talk done.
All right, I like that. So we'll close with that instead. All right, that's a better lesson. Fine. We'll close with that, Trinidad and Tobago. You deserve the best. Study your peace and your happiness. Forgiveness is about you. Ayana, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Thanks for coming in. I know the episode was going to be great. From the time you entered, I know the vibes. I know how it is. All right. So Trinidad and Tobago, thanks for staying tuned to us. Remember, same time, same place, right here on WESN. Till next week, please God, stay psyched.
WESN.
I'm Sean Michael Small, and we are WESN.